You are listening to the Becoming the Wealthy You podcast with Jermaine Foley. If you're a woman who makes good money in your career or business, but you're not building wealth like you want to, then you're in the right place. In this podcast, you'll learn how to stop overspending, break free from the cycle of debt, save lots of cash, and become the wealthy woman you were born to be. Let's dive in. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Oh my gosh, I am so excited for this episode today because I know that so many of you are going to be able to see yourself in exactly what I'm going to talk about. And that is the fact that so many of you pay off your credit cards, right? You keep paying off your credit card debt, but you keep finding yourself right back in it. And I know how frustrating that could be. And so I want to just take a moment today to really tell you that this is so common, right? How many times have you paid off the exact same balance over and over again with a bonus check, with a commission check, with extra money? How many times have you paid off a credit card and then it just creeps back up and you're like, oh my gosh, how in the world did I get back here? This is something that a lot of people deal with, and we're going to break down the reasons why today. So here's the good news. There's nothing wrong with you if you're experiencing this. Most people experience this. And in the work that I do with the women I coach, this is one of the reasons why they come to me. And so hear me when I say this. If you've paid off your credit card debt more than once, you've already tried on your own, and it's probably time to get some help. Because as I'm going to really break down later, this is an expensive problem to have, you guys. This is a very expensive problem to have, to be stuck in the cycle of credit card debt where you pay it off only to run it back up again. And a lot of times the way we're paying it off is we're taking out 401k loans, we're taking out credit card, 0% interest transfers. And when we do things like that, a lot of times we end up in double the debt because we never got to the root cause of why we were in debt in the first place. So what happens is you'll, transfer $10,000, $5,000, whatever, to a 0% interest transfer, right? And they give you 12 months or more to pay it off. And because you haven't addressed the real issues, the habits and the patterns that got you in debt in the first place, you feel like you did something. Your brain feels some relief, and then you just slip back into your old ways. And so you end up racking up debt on that original credit card, and you have that other credit card that you're really not thinking too much about because you're telling yourself that you have time. You got a whole year or 18 months to figure it out. And before you know it, that 18 months that comes, it's there, and you've got this new debt. And so I want to help you with this. And I'm going to be honest, listening to this episode is just the first start to getting that help. If this is something, like I said, if you've paid off the same credit cards more than once and you're on your second or third or fourth time, then it's time to get some help because you have tried on your own and whatever you're doing is not working. And you'll hear in the episode today why it's not working. And so for all of you, if you fit the bill, if that sounds like you are invited to book a one-to-one money coaching consultation with me because this is my specialty. I am working with several women right now in this exact same position, and they are not only paying off the debt, but they're not going back. And when you don't go back, that opens up the opportunity to not only get out of debt, but to build wealth, because credit card debt and overspending, those two things are your biggest issues. Those are the biggest wealth stealing behaviors you can have, overspending and staying stuck in the cycle of credit card debt. And so if that's you, you are invited to book a one-to-one money coaching consultation with me. I want to say it up front before we get into it. And you can do that by going to jermainefoley.com/consult. These are complimentary sessions where we'll look at where you are, where you want to go, what's holding you back, why you keep finding yourself in credit card debt, why you're not moving forward, why you're not as far along as you want to be, And I'll tell you exactly how I can help you to end that cycle with my help. And if it's something you want to move forward with, we can get started within the next few days or so, because this is an expensive problem and it's time to fix it. And I know there are some of you who are ready to fix it. And if that's you, you know what to do. You can book that call at jermainefoley.com/consult or go to the show notes and just click on the link. Okay, so let's really get into the nitty-gritty of why this keeps happening. So first, you have to realize this. Getting out of debt is not just math. Math will get you out, but your habits will decide if you stay out. Your identity, how you think about yourself, your behaviors, how you treat credit cards, how you treat your money, how you handle your money. Those are the things that are going to keep you out, okay? So think about it. Paying off debt is like fourth grade math. You take your balance, you look at your interest rate, and you make payments. Like, that is easy to do. Anybody can do that. But staying out of debt is not about math at all. It's emotional, it's psychological, it's behavior, it's based on your habits. This is where most financial advice just falls flat, because most advice just tells you to use the debt snowball, use the debt avalanche, do this, don't do that, right? But it doesn't get to the root cause of the problem, because as I just said, it's not math. Math is not your root cause. The root cause is how you behave with money when you're stressed, right? How do you handle yourself when you're bored and you have time to kill? Are you overspending or are you doing something else? Because here's the thing, you can understand math and still swipe your card when you're stressed. You can understand how to add and subtract and interest rate calculations and still overspend when you're bored or when you have time to kill. You can understand the math of it all, but still overspend and swipe your card for convenience and tell yourself, hey, I'll figure it out later. I'll deal with it later. Because we know that the reason why we keep ending up in credit card debt is because of our spending patterns, our overspending, our emotional spending, our impulse spending. So credit cards really is just a symptom of something deeper. And so that is the work that I help my clients with. I help you to figure out, yes, we're going to figure out the math, because math is math. But then after we figure out the math, we have to go deeper and we have to figure out, okay, how do we get to the root cause of this issue? So think about this. So it's actually very interesting. My son woke up today with a fever and I gave him some Motrin and Tylenol. The fever went away, right? I just treated the symptom, but we haven't gotten to the root cause yet. We won't really know what the root cause is, what the real issue is, until we go to the doctor. So think about it that way. Think of your debt, the credit card debt that keeps coming back, as a symptom. It's a sickness that keeps coming back, even when you give yourself Tylenol, even when you pay it off. So if that's you, that means that we got to get deeper. We got to get to the root cause of what's happening. And again, that is what my one-to-one money coaching program is designed to do, so that you don't just get out of debt, but you stay out, because that's what we all really want. You don't want to just get out of debt. You want to stay out of it. Now, we talked about the fact that debt is a symptom and there's a really deeper root cause. And for all of us, it's different. We all have different reasons. But whatever your reason is, it comes back to psychology and the motivational triad and the way your brain is wired. Your brain loves efficiency. It loves to do what's familiar, and it loves for you to live the same experiences over and over again. It wants your life to be predictable. It wants your life to be routine and normal, even if what's normal and routine isn't good for you. Even if what is normal and routine isn't in your best interest, your brain still wants to do it because it's familiar. Your brain thinks familiar is safe. And it's really not wrong, because if you think back to how our ancestors survived in the cave days, they did the same things over and over again. And a lot of times when they veered off of their routine, that is when a saber-toothed tiger came and ate them, right? If they were going to hunt, they probably used the same pathways the same roads, the same terrain the entire time. And whenever they decided that they wanted to veer off down another path, then that's probably when the saber-toothed tiger came. So they learned very early on, hey, do what we always have done. And when you do that, you stay safe, you stay alive. And that is what your brain thinks, because that is the way it's wired. Familiar equals safe, unfamiliar equals unsafe. So again, the problem isn't you. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not bad with money. You do not lack discipline. You do not lack self-control. The real problem is that you're stuck in this familiar, limiting financial comfort zone. And that's what I call it, a limiting financial comfort zone, right? And your comfort zone isn't where you're actually comfortable. Your comfort zone is just what's familiar. It's what you're used to. It's what you're used to having. It's what you're used to spending. It's what you're used to saving. And it's what you're used to owing. So even if that familiar place is stressing you out, it isn't what you truly want. It makes you feel like you should be further along. It makes you feel bad about yourself. Your brain doesn't care about any of that. It just cares that you stick with what you're used to. Because if we stay where we are, we'll stay alive. But when we try to get out of debt, who knows what's on the other side of that, right? That's how your brain is thinking. It's very primitive and simple. We all know that getting out of debt is safe. That higher part of your brain, that prefrontal cortex part of your brain understands that, but that part of the brain isn't what's most dominant. The part of your brain that is most dominant is that primitive part. And it is so interesting how our brain works. And until you understand this, you're just going to keep living life on rinse and repeat. And even once you hear it, the first 50 times, it might not sink in until you actually start doing the work. And this is the kind of work I do with my clients, okay? We rewire your brain so that you stop repeating habits and patterns that are not in your best interests, even though that primitive part of your brain wants you to. So let's talk about what this looks like in real life. You pay off credit cards only to run them back up again. You save money, then you just spend it right back down to what? The level that you're comfortable with, the level that you're used to, the level that you're familiar with. You may earn more money, but then lifestyle creep will just eat it up. So you make more, but it doesn't feel like it. You still have the same amount of money. Why? Because it's going right out the door. You feel like you should be further along based on how much money you make, based on your career trajectory, based on your titles, right? And you're just scratching your head. You're frustrated. You just don't understand why you can't figure this money thing out. Why? Because it's way more than math. It is psychological. And so for some of you, it'll look like this. You get a bonus to wipe out your debt. You'll use commission checks to clean up the past. You'll do the 0% interest transfers and the 401k loans I talked about before. And I said this and I'll say it again. And when you do those kinds of things without addressing the root causes, without getting to the nitty gritty of what's really going on, then a lot of times you end up in double the debt. Why? Because you didn't change what was underneath. So your brain just pulls you back to what's normal, to what's familiar. It just pulls you back to your limiting financial comfort zone. Now, I want to say this. We all have some sort of financial comfort zone. You either have a limiting one or a supportive one. So you kind of already have an idea of what a limiting financial comfort zone is. And my job as your money coach, when you become my one-to-one private client, is to help you to go from living in a limiting financial comfort zone to living in a supportive one. One where you're now familiar with having money. You're familiar with not carrying credit card debt, right? So it's like you need to hack your brain. If your primitive brain likes to live in the familiar, then guess what? We just need to change what's familiar. Instead of making it a habit to overspend, we make it a habit to save. We make it a habit to pay off our credit cards every month. We make it a habit to invest. We make it a habit to have money, more than enough money in our bank accounts. Right? So that's my job as your coach, is to help you to create a supportive financial comfort zone that makes being in credit card debt unfamiliar, where your primitive brain is like, oh no, this is not us. this is dangerous. We got to get out of debt. We can't carry these high balances. So that's the hack we go for. We're not trying to change our brain because we can't do that, but we can outsmart it. We can hack it. And we do that by creating a supportive financial comfort zone where you become used to not having credit card debt. You've become used to having lots of money in the bank, 3 to 6 months of expenses in the bank. You get used to your investment accounts growing and growing and growing, right? That becomes your new normal. That becomes what's familiar. And then that is when you can put it on autopilot, and then being good with money, having lots of money, not stressing about money all the time is just who you are, right? And this doesn't happen overnight. For a lot of you, you've tried to get here on your own, and this is where money coaching comes in. Because once you're aware of where you are, then you can change things, right? So because I just shared this with you, you can say, okay, I am in a limiting financial comfort zone. Wow, this is why I cannot save for the life of me. Wow, this is why this credit card debt keeps coming back up. It's not me, it's my brain. And wow, that awareness alone is everything. And it's actually the first level of change. It's becoming aware. Now, awareness is just the first level of change, not the final level. For some of you, you get it. You're like, oh my gosh, this is the problem? Yes, it is. The next piece of it is this. Once you have that awareness, you have to decide what you want to do with that awareness. Do you want to stay the same or do you want to change? And then from there, you set an intention like, okay, no more. I am going to pay off my credit card debts and I'm not going back. And then you have to start doing the identity work and that deeper work to change your habits, change the way you see yourself. And that is where coaching comes in, because anybody can say, I'm going to do something and make a plan to do it, but actually following through with that plan, that is where the real work happens. And that is where coaching comes in. That is the work that I do with my clients. And then we just practice it over and over again. We commit to it and we practice and we practice and we practice. And we understand that we will make mistakes, but we will not give up when we make mistakes. Okay? Because the balances, they'll creep back up. The spending patterns will try to return, but because you're in a supportive environment, because you have systems and structure, and someone in your corner to help you to see what's going on, you don't let those things derail you. You notice them, you course correct, and you keep moving forward. You don't let yourself sink back into your old ways again. And let me tell you why this is so important. Because I said it earlier, I'm going to say it again, staying in debt is expensive. It is expensive. If you've been listening and realizing that money is the one area you just can't seem to figure out, even though you're successful everywhere else, hear me when I say this. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just that traditional money advice wasn't made for women like you. Women who earn good money, want to build wealth, and still enjoy their lives. My clients all start where you are. Paying off the same credit cards over and over again, saving up to a certain amount only to spend it back down, or feeling like based on their income, they should be so much further along by now. But with my help, they change all of that. One client paid off over $11,000 in credit card debt and never ran it back up again. Another saved $5,000 in just 2 months. And another went on multiple vacations without going back into credit card debt. They are not special unicorns. They're women just like you, great at making money and ready to finally get great at not only enjoying it, but also keeping it and growing it. So if you've been listening and thinking she's talking directly to me, this invitation is for you. Don't keep pushing this off. You and I can fix this together, privately, safely, and without judgment. All you have to do is go to jermainefoley.com/consult to book your wealth building strategy consultation or click on the link in the show notes. Let's finally get you unstuck with money. When you live in credit card debt, your money isn't yours. If you get bonuses, Or when you sign new clients or get commissions, that money is spent before it even hits your account. Any extra money you get, even your normal paychecks or income distributions if you own your own business, they're spoken for. Interest compounds against you instead of for you. So one of the main ways to build wealth is through the magic of compounding interest, where your money makes you money. And you do that through investing. But here's the thing about being in credit card debt. The compounding interest is actually working against you instead of for you. Instead of your money making you money, you're paying more for the money you borrowed. So if you borrowed $1,000 and you don't pay it off within 30 days, then you start paying interest upon interest upon interest. So you pay interest on that $1,000 and then you pay interest on the interest that was charged to that $1,000. And it just keeps going on and on. It compounds against you versus compounding for you. And beyond the math, being in credit card debt, it steals your peace of mind. It steals your freedom. It steals your options. This is why so many women come to me and they're just like, I'm tired of stressing about money all the time. 9 times out of 10, it's the credit card debt that's causing them to feel this way. Because no matter what, even when they get out of it, it keeps coming back and they're ready to be done with it for good. And the reason why is because you no longer want to live a mediocre life. You want your income to propel you forward, to have a more fulfilling life, to be able to experience life at a different level. You want your money, instead of going to credit card companies, you want it to be going towards your investments. You want to have the opportunity to stop working early if you want to, or to be able to pivot from a career that you do not love. Some of you make enough money to be able to retire in your 50s or early 60s, way before when the government says you should retire. But debt is the one thing that's standing in your way. It's sucking up your income. And so I'll say it again, if you've paid off the same credit card more than once, that means you've already tried on your own, and this isn't a knowledge problem anymore, right? You know how to use the debt snowball, the debt avalanche. You can Google all of that stuff, but that is not the answer to your problems. It is the psychology. It is the behavioral side of things. It's the habits that you formed. And that is why working with someone like me, who is a certified life coach and a money coach, so I understand the math, but I get the psychology and behavior change that is required as well. That is what is different than just Googling answers to how to get out of debt. So at this point, it's not about trying harder anymore. It's about trying something different, because this, again, is a very expensive problem to have. And it's very interesting because a lot of women will book a consultation with me. We'll get on Zoom and I will get all of the information. I'll see exactly what their problem is, and then I'll offer them the exact solution that I'll help them to implement in their lives. And they are so excited about it. And then when I share the investment, they're like, oh my gosh, that's too much money. That's too expensive. And I get it, right? Because a lot of women I work with are in careers. I also work with a lot of business owners, and there's a little bit of a difference between the two. Business owners are used to investing in themselves, in their growth, and in their development. And career women are also used to going to workshops and retreats, but they don't pay for it. Usually their company is paying for those things. And so they've never really invested in themselves using their money that's coming out of their checking account. And even when they were in college, a lot of them used student loans or their parents paid. So it still wasn't like they were writing the check or making the investment themselves in that moment. And so I get why when I tell them my price, by the way, which is a steal. A lot of times people have never invested in life coaching before. And so when they hear my price, they think it's a lot, but honestly, it's a steal. I promise you guys, my prices are lower than you will find. And the reason why I do that is because I want to make it accessible and palatable to anyone who's making good money in their business or career and they're ready for help, period. I don't want the financial piece to stand in your way. So I've priced it in a way that is very doable. I believe so. And I know so it is. Even if you're in debt, even if you have trouble saving, if you make good money, you can figure this out. Okay. So back to my point, I understand why a lot of them push back because they just haven't had the opportunity or the experience of investing in themselves before. My business owners are like, oh my God, let's sign me up. This is a steal. Sign me up. But the career ladies are like, oh, this is a little much. I don't know what my husband's going to say. I don't know. I need to think about it. And I help them work through that. And the way that I do that is by helping them to see that what's really expensive is the way they're living now. What's really expensive is how they're handling their money now. The credit card debt that they're carrying, the money that they're not saving, the money that they're not investing, the stress that they're carrying, the peace of mind that they are missing out on, the constantly stressing about money. That is what's expensive, right? Investing and getting help with solving your biggest money challenges, that is a no-brainer. But what's expensive is to continue to live the way you are. Day after day, month after month, year after year, decade after decade. That's what's expensive. The fee that you pay me, the investment that you make in yourself, that is going to come and go. And my clients, oh my gosh, they make their money back. They double their money. They invest whatever the investment is at the time. I'm not going to say it on the air because it could change, right? So I'm not going to give you a price right now because somebody could listen to this a year from now and the prices could be different. So I don't want to do that. And you can go to jermainefoley.com/consult to see what it is. So my clients, they invest that amount and what they gain is double, triple, or sometimes quadruple of what they paid, right? The money that they stop overspending, the debt that they pay off and then stay out of, they don't go back. The money that they save in their high interest savings account, the money that they begin investing, and then that money starts to compound. And not only for the time that we work together, they do this, but this becomes their new way of life. So it compounds and compounds and compounds. So the money that they kind of make back, that happens within the year. That doubling or tripling or quadrupling, that happens within the year. But imagine what happens the next year and the next year and the next year because they're someone different. They handle their money completely different. They're in control of their spending. They no longer overuse their credit cards where they're stuck in credit card debt and paying interest on that. They have money saved. They have tens of thousands of dollars in their high yield savings account, and they're investing at a level that they never did before. That is worth it. And not living like that, not giving yourself that opportunity, that's what's expensive. Not the investment that you make to learn these things. That's inexpensive compared to what you get. Okay? So don't let your brain talk you out of doing something different because it wants to keep you stuck in the familiar. Don't let your brain talk you out of investing in yourself if that's something you want to do, right? Because it'll offer you all kinds of excuses and reasons why you shouldn't do it. But I just gave you reasons why you should, and that's what you want to listen to. Okay? So if this is you, if you resonated with any part of this, if you paid off the same credit card debt more than once, it's time to get some help. It's time for support. It's time to get to the root causes and to stop just treating the symptoms. And for those of you who are ready, all you have to do is go to jermainefoley.com/consult. Book your consultation. We'll get on Zoom. We'll look at where you are, where you want to go. I'll figure out what is standing in your way. I'll craft a unique plan to you because I don't believe in anything cookie cutter based on your life, your goals, your ambitions, what you truly want. I'll share that plan with you. And if it's right, we'll move forward. We can start coaching within the next week or so. And if it's not, that's okay. There is no pressure. I am not here to convince you. I am here to help you. And so again, you can go to the show notes, click on the link there, or go to jermainefoley.com/consult. All right. I will see you next week. Bye-bye. Hey, if money is the one area of life you just can't seem to figure out, even though you make good money, you're not alone. That's why you're invited to book a complimentary one-to-one money consultation with me. so that we can figure out how to solve your biggest money challenges. To sign up, simply go to jermainefoley.com/consult or check out the show notes. Hope to meet you soon.